Hi, and welcome to the Casago Show. My name's Steve Schwab. I'm your host today. I'm also the founder of Casago. And today we're going to be talking about the Orange Credo, where it came from, and then we're going to dissect the first principle of the Orange Credo in a 6-part series. We'll be talking about the owner-centric principle tonight. So, where did the Orange Credo come from, and what was the inspiration for it? As you may know, I was originally an Army Ranger. We had a Ranger Credo that we all had to memorize, and the Ranger Creed was something that I found was a great way for all of us to have a common language, a common set of core values, and a great way for us to communicate with each other. When we brought this originally to Casago, it was written in third person. It talked about what the company should do. It wasn't really sinking in very well. I didn't feel like it had the right voice and didn't carry the same conviction as the credos or, fraternity mottos that I had been exposed to before. So going back and looking at the Orange Credo and reading through it, I realized that it was written in third person instead of first person. There was no personal commitment to it. And when it was rewritten into first person and reintroduced back into the organization, it started to make a real difference in how people saw themselves as being part of Casago. And you started to see people buy in and take the commitment that I was hoping for, to understand what does it mean to be part of this company, what's our principles. And now that we're in 17 cities, when you go from city to city, we have a common language, we have a common way of communicating, a vernacular and diction that when we discuss what are our guiding principles, what are the things that matter to us, how do we become successful? This Orange Credo has lived up to what it should do. And if you haven't bought into the Orange Credo, read it again, personalize it, make it yours. This fits into so many parts of even your own life that you will find the applications are endless. So for now, we're going to dive into only the first principle for tonight, and it is owner-centric. So what does it mean to be owner-centric? Well, being owner-centric means that we put that owner at the center of everything we do, right? And in fact, the Orange Credo starts off with the first sentence, I am the owner's advocate. And for our homeowners, them having us as an advocate when they're away from their property is what our true value is. We're not just facility managers. We're not just somebody taking care of a soulless piece of concrete and tile that may or may not have a beautiful view. That's not what we do. We're not managing something soulless. This is a place that homeowner probably loves. They probably have an emotional attachment to it, and they're sharing it with other people so they can gain an income and help pay for it. This is an investment not only of money, but of love. And us advocating for them when they're away, they can be thousands of miles away. We manage properties for people that are literally on the other side of the world. I know that we have one homeowner that's all the way in Tokyo. He lives in Tokyo, and he's trusting us with a multi-million-dollar piece of property. We have to take that seriously. This has to be something that we look at as our duty, as a sworn duty, and it's important to that homeowner that when they leave, they know they have an advocate there with their property that's looking out for their best interest. In fact, if you look at the definition of advocate, it comes from a Latin word, which means to literally add a voice. And is speaking about in the courtroom originally that when somebody didn't have their own voice, it was to add a voice for them so that somebody could communicate and speak on their behalf. And when those homeowners are away, when they're off doing their job or taking care of their family, working in a completely different area, we're there to be that voice in their absence. We're there to speak for them. We're there to make sure that whatever is their best interest is what we do and what we stand up for and argue for and ensure that they're protected when we do that. The next line of the Orange Credo is, I will make all decisions based on the best interest of the homeowner. And, we just covered that a moment ago, but I want to reiterate that when we take care of that homeowner, when we're looking out and ensuring that when we have to make a tough decision, that homeowner is the reason why we make that decision, what we find is that it doesn't only take care of the homeowner, it takes care of the renter, and it best takes care of us. For the renter, they can come into a property that homeowner has entrusted to us so that they can enjoy that place that might be on the beach or in the mountains or in the city. And they get to love on a well taken care property that they can trust their family to be in, enjoy, and create great experiences. They're well served. They're best served when we have been taking care of that homeowner's property and that homeowner's best interest historically, and now they get to have the presence of that property in their life. And then the company. Now, it may seem counterintuitive when we take, say, for instance, money and say, okay, maybe this isn't something we thought was fair. Maybe we're getting a rotten deal out of, a bad situation between a renter and an owner, but we make that right. When we take care of that homeowner, even sometimes when it comes out of our pockets immediately, we benefit because we get to keep that property. That property and the lifetime value of that homeowner staying with us and the revenue generated over the course of several years and sometimes even several decades is absolutely worth taking care of that homeowner first. And when we do that, we build a bigger inventory, so there's more income for the company. We build the pride of when that homeowner comes back, that they have a property that they are excited to come and see and not be disappointed or angered by the condition of it. And our company grows and our incomes grow. And the pride of who we are, we can stand up straight and be proud that we are the ones that have made those decisions to take care of that homeowner's property correctly. And that's why we get to call ourselves true property masters, not just a manager, but mastering the art of holding ourselves accountable to take care of that property in the best way possible. And that leads right into the very next part of this, that I am the steward of that owner's property. Now, it's important to break down the difference between an advocate and a steward, right? So we've already discussed the definition of an advocate, but what's the definition of a steward? Well, it comes from an old English word that meant the keeper of the property while the lord of the estate was away. That really fits into what we do, because when the owner leaves, we are the keeper of that property. We have to ensure that as we go forward and in their absence, that we care for that property in such a way that when they come back, that they're pleased. And when they do come back and they are pleased, we get to provide services for them again and again and again for years to come. We have the pride of knowing that when they come back, we've done the right thing. And if that property isn't in perfect condition, we better have communicated to them the problems that have happened and how we want to fix it and move forward with those plans at their permission so that they are pleased with our services and that we can grow our company and that we can be a blessing to them when they come back to the property. Being overtly transparent is the next part of this credo. And being overtly transparent really matters. And I'm going to tell you why. I've seen other property managers. In fact, I know a specific story where this other property manager, there was a problem with where he was living. He knew one of the other homeowners. He was managing their property. And he went and took a shower in that property. And guess what happened? So one of the neighbors saw it and started spreading rumors. Now, the owner of the property knew that he was going there to take a shower and get cleaned up. But the neighbors started spreading the rumors about this property manager in this other company, that they were staying there, they were sleeping there, that, every possible nefarious thing that could be said about this guy came out to not be true. But because he wasn't overtly, meaning obviously transparent, he wasn't obviously doing the right things, it really hurt his reputation. And so as you go forward and you go out and you look at what am I doing don't just think about, am I doing the right thing? Because that's number one. But number two, does it look like I'm doing the right things? Make sure that the perception of what you do is perceived correctly, because you don't want your reputation ruined because of something that you didn't do because it wasn't overtly transparent. So the next part of the Orange Credo and the owner-centric principle is, I will offer respect and honesty and expect the same. So I expect every single one of you, and I expect you personally, to be respectful and honest to everybody in the ecosystem of this company, that homeowner, and that's what we're speaking about specifically right now. But in order to take care of that homeowner, you must be respectful. You must be honest with them. And you must be respectful and honest to everybody around them who surrounds them. That includes other property managers, other employees, vendors. We all have to take this seriously, and we must always be honest with them. And sometimes it's painful. I had this experience where we actually had somebody pass away in one of the condos. And what was the very first thing I did when I found out? I got on the phone because I felt like this homeowner had to hear it from me first. And how terrible it would have been if he would have heard it from somebody else or another property management company or the HOA, and we didn't get to him right away. He'd have felt terrible. He'd have felt like we weren't taking care of his property. We weren't being the steward of his property. We weren't being his advocate. And I picked up the phone, and I remember being very nervous and thinking, man, how's this going to go? And when I called him and I told him the truth, and I told him the situation as best as I knew it and what we were doing about it, he was so grateful. I thought we were going to be a zero when we called him, but we ended up being a hero. He told me specifically, this is why he stays with Casago. Because when we call and we're honest, and even if it's bad news, they can be reasonable and they can have a conversation with us because they know that they're working with somebody they can trust. So the last thing I'm going to talk to you today about is the very last line is that I will build a professional relationship that transcends business. What does that mean? It means that it must be professional. You can't cross the boundaries of this being taking personal loans, asking for things that are not professional. You must show them professionalism at all times. But when it transcends business, that means they know that if something happens to them personally, that we can be there for them. We had a homeowner who was in an accident in Mexico. And who was the first person they called? They called us. And what a compliment to us. And we got over there. We worked on their behalf. The police were going to charge them with some things that we didn't think were right. We were able to get people involved. We were able to get lawyers involved. And it really worked out best for them. When we go out there and take care of that homeowner on a personal level, that's not just business. We will be irreplaceable, and we will have that relationship with them for years to come. So that's all we have for today. I want to thank you for listening. I want to tell you that I'm proud of you for being part of Casago. I want you to be a blessing to those homeowners. And next week, we'll talk about the renters, and I'm looking forward to that. If you have comments, questions, or suggestions, make sure to email them in, and we'll read some of them next week.